So today we're going to once again gonna go through Ultralearning by Scott Young, and I have figured out, actually I think today while I was in the train, that I've already gone through this book. So yeah, you know. But anyway, it's still a really cool book, and it still is a really good book indeed as well. But I just am searching for something. Where is this? Where is this thing that I'm searching for? But I think it is anyway a really good book, and also just incredibly good for all those people that just don't know it, you know. So I'm anyway gonna go through it, and I'm anyway gonna talk about it, so that maybe, I at least hope from the bottom of my heart, some of you can get something out of it and learn something from it, which is always something amazing, which is always something great, of course. I'm just talking so much bullshit. But I'm actually searching for my headphones, because afterwards I'm willing to... Because the thing is, I'm searching for my headphones because I need them to work out. Because when I'm working out, I really do like listening to something, or listening to music and whatnot. I'm actually going through stages. On some periods of my life I do like it, and some other periods I just really don't like it. But at this point in time, it really helps me going through it. And I've also been able to structure my workout in a way that it's not killing me, just because I've been doing way too much, which leaves me with not that much sleep, which is not that nice and not that intelligent. And so I've lowered it a bit, and I've added a bit more rest and whatnot. So I've added it a bit more rest, yeah. Anyway, let's actually go through the book. You know, that's more interesting than just whatever the fuck I'm talking about. By the way, something that I noticed, when I don't sleep as much as I should, first of all, my face looks shitty, not in terms of me, but I look way fatter than I am. And also, I'm way more hungry, and I do look fatter, just in my whole entire body. So I do clearly notice when I haven't been sleeping that much. So definitely something to think about. And I've tested an app which is called Sleep Cycle, which is actually kind of analyzing your sleep cycles and how you're sleeping. And it actually really worked for me, you know. I've actually woken up like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times this night, which is not amazing, really not. So I haven't had the best sleep. But I've then had a look at the cycle or the graph that was shown to me, and it was actually pretty accurate, because I've always looked onto my phone. Maybe this is also how they have indicated that, but I don't know, like my sleep wasn't that optimal today. But anyway, Chapter 7, Principle 4, Drill, Attack Your Weakest Point. Benjamin Franklin's mastery of writing is what made him great. It was how he practiced, the way he decided to break apart the skill of writing and practice its elements in isolation, which allowed him to apply this mastery to other pursuits. There are rate-determining steps in learning anything that acts as a bottleneck and determines your overall performance. Drills allow you to improve these rate-determining steps in isolation, which will improve your overall performance. A direct then drill approach is first trying to practice a skill directly, then analyze the direct skill and try to isolate components that are either rate-determining steps in your performance or sub-skills you find difficult to improve because there are too many other things going on for you to focus on them. The final step is to go back to direct practice and integrate what you've learned. I think it sounds pretty good, pretty cool, pretty sensical, and pretty amazing. So yeah, maybe you'll try it out. Maybe you give it a shot. Drills. Drill 1, time slicing. Isolate a slice in time of the longer sequence of actions. Drill 2, cognitive components, and there is no description. Drill 3, the copycat. Copy the aspects you don't want to drill so that you can isolate the aspects you do, such as copying a painting from someone else, but practicing one aspect component. Which means, I guess, if you're painting something, then really focusing on the shading and not necessarily on the colors, which is one aspect of the whole thing. I assume. I don't know. I assume. And this thing there above pisses me off, so maybe when I reload it, and I do hope that I'm in the same space, yeah. Everything is fine now. Drill 4, the magnifying glass method. Spend more time on one component of the scale than you would otherwise, which is something that's incredibly important. And I don't know, like, I think it is beneficial in general, you know, to really focus on something from time to time. I don't just want to say that you should be focusing on one thing always, but maybe, for example, when it is about working out, okay, really focus on your muscle contraction. You know, just really consciously contracting your muscles. One thing to really focus on, which you might not be focusing on normally. Drill 5. Prerequisite chain. Start on hard skills and learn prerequisite foundational skills as needed, which saves time from learning sub-skills that don't drive performance. Yes, you know, going for the really top hard tier whatever thing, because you're anyway gonna learn all the other things by learning this really hard top tier whatever thing. Reader's note, the section of drilling reminds me of the idea of removing the bottleneck to improve the overall performance of a system from the book The Goal by Elia Goldratt. Drilling is difficult, but something mentally strenuous provides a greater benefit to learning than something easy. I actually really gotta have to take a shit, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm a little bit in a hurry because I need to record, then I need to work out, and yeah, this is what I should be doing today. And yeah, I don't know, maybe, you know, this is something that I should be talking about in another episode, which is then gonna called my feelings and how pissed I am. No, this is not what it's gonna be all about. And I actually should be learning today, and this is also something that I am gonna do, so I'm not gonna waste any fucking time doing anything today. You know, watching some bullshit YouTube and so on and so on. But maybe I'm gonna just do it differently tomorrow. I'm gonna see. Chapter 8, Principle 5, Retrieval Test to Learn. Studies show testing yourself trying to retrieve information without looking at the text, aka free recall or self-testing, clearly outperform both simple review and concept mapping methods. This might be because you get feedback, and second of all, self-testing is more directly related to actual testing and therefore transfer is more likely. And I do want to point out, yes, it is always something that I do. I've always been doing it throughout my whole school career, and I think I'm still going to do it later on in my life, and it really helped me. You know, it really helped me to know that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And something that I always did is actually writing it down. So not only recalling it in my brain, but also writing it down, you know, so that I also kind of practice the writing down thing, just because when I'm writing a text or test, I also have to write something down. It's not like, I don't know, I say something and then that's it. But maybe, I don't know if it is actually a verbal test, which could also be the case in your case, then maybe just recalling it and basically saying it is a bit of a better idea than actually writing it down. Increasing the difficulty and testing yourself way before you are ready is more efficient compared to low intensity learning strategies which involve less or easier retrieval. Giving a test later when information is not top of mind improves retention because it is more difficult. However, testing too late so that you forget the information entirely is not beneficial. I do, by the way, think that through testing you actually learn. You know, because, you know, okay, there is something and I've forgotten about that. And the next time when you're testing yourself, okay, this is something that is in my mind. So I do believe that it is actually really helping to learn things and not only seeing whether you already know it or not. If this makes sense what I'm referring to. Giving a test later when, however, testing too, you need to find a good midpoint. The concept of forward retrieval is that early testing may help for retrieval later on for information not yet learned. Nearly any fact or concept is now available to anyone with a smartphone, not a smartphone. However, this hasn't made the modern person thousands of times smarter than before. Being able to look things up is certainly an advantage, but without a certain amount of knowledge inside your head, it doesn't help you solve hard problems. No, it really does not. Entirely not. Useful methods to apply retrieval to almost any object or subject. Flashcards, free recall, the question book method, rephrase your recorded notes as questions to be answered later. What's harder and more useful is to restate the big idea of a chapter or section as a question because it requires deeper thinking. Yes, so I do kind of believe the more difficult it is, the better. If this somehow makes sense. I don't actually know. Self-generated challenges and closed book learning. Yeah. But I do want to point out that, and maybe this is something what they or he already meant before, when you kind of recall things very often, but you always miss out on something, but you learn it in that way then, this is not good and not cool and not great, because if, which is then going to be actually the good option, if you actually come to the conclusion that you forgot about something, then this is something that you have to incorporate into your structure that is in your head. And I don't know, like, it's not necessarily something easy, nor cool, nor good, nor, I don't know, great for you as a learner. Chapter 9, Principle 6, Feedback, don't dodge the punches. The ability to gain immediate feedback on one's performance is an essential ingredient in reaching expert levels of performance. The type of feedback is important. Feedback works well when it provides useful information that can guide future learning, such as what you were doing wrong and how you can fix it. However, feedback often backfires when it is aimed at a person's ego. Praise, for example, is usually harmful to further learning. When feedback steers into an evaluation of you as an individual, it usually has a negative impact on learning. Yeah, ultralearners need to be sensitive to what feedback that is actually useful and tune out the rest. Fear of feedback often feels more uncomfortable than experiencing the feedback itself. It is not so much negative feedback on its own that can impede progress, but the fear of hearing criticism that causes us to shut down. Sometimes the best action is to dive straight into the hardest environment, which can reduce your fears of getting started initially. It will allow you to adjust accordingly if the feedback is too harsh to be useful. And yeah, if you start something really difficult, which, where you actually kind of should not be starting, then to some degree you could say, okay, this is a bad idea. But on the other hand, it is actually a pretty cool thing and a pretty smart thing to do as well. Because you know that you're shit at what you're doing. You know that you just have started it yesterday. You know. And the thing is, it makes you feel like, well, I don't know shit. And so you're not going to be upset about anybody criticizing whatever the fuck you're doing. And giving you bad feedback and being a little bit too harsh and whatnot. Just because you know that you're actually shit and you don't know things. So, I don't know. But still, I would say really starting something that's way too hard is really like, yeah, it's not satisfying any feeling, anything in you basically. So it's not something that I really want to recommend, and I really don't recommend. The 3 types of feedback: outcome feedback, informational feedback, and corrective feedback. Outcome feedback tells you how you're doing overall, but not what you're doing right or wrong, why or how to improve. Informational feedback can tell you what you are doing wrong, but not how to fix it. This is easy to obtain when you can get live, real-time feedback like an audience reaction. The truth: corrective feedback is the best type of feedback because it can show you what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. This type is typically only available through a coach, mentor, or teacher, or certain studying tools. The best feedback is informative and usable by the student who receives it. Optimal feedback indicates the difference between the current state and the desired state and helps students take a step to improve their learning, period. Research shows that immediate feedback is superior in regards to timing, trying to avoid situations that always make you feel good or bad about your performance. Sometimes is the easiest way to improve feedback is simply to get a lot more of it a lot more often. Yes, though short-term feedback can be stressful, once you get into the habit of receiving it, it becomes easy to process without overreacting emotionally. Yeah, I would actually say so as well. I mean, if you get really a lot of feedback, then yeah, I don't know, like you really just get used to it and you really understand, wow, it is not about me, it's not about my ego, it's not about me personally, but it is about how I do this certain task. Chapter 10, and this is going to be the last chapter for today. Principle 7, retention. Retention, don't fill a leaky bucket. Memory is essential to learning things well. In terms of memory, our minds are a leaky bucket, but most of the holes are at the top, so the water that remains at the bottom leaks out more slowly. We tend to forget information quickly, but then it tapers off after a while. 4 mechanisms of retention: spacing, proceduralization, overlearning, and mnemonics. Spacing. Learning sessions over more intervals across a longer periods of time helps with long-term retention, though lower performance in the short term because of forgetting. Another strategy for applying spacing is to semi-regularly do refresher projects. I do, by the way, like it. I do always try to learn or start learning as early as I possibly can, so that I'm not stressed out on one hand, and on the other hand can remember things a bit better. Procedural information tends to be stored for much longer, so it may benefit to you practice a core set of information instead of everything evenly. Yes, not all skills can become automatic and proceduralized. Overlearning is additional practice beyond what is required to perform adequately, which can increase the length of time that memory is stored. And I always do that. I've always done that, and it always really helped me. I've always learned more than I had to. I don't know, I had to know this formula, but then just actually researching and looking up why it is this formula and why it is working in this way and not in that way. And what I could just be doing with this, and where it is incorporated in all of these things, just because I then had multiple key points so that I don't forget about that, about the initial thing. And yeah, I don't know, like it really helped me. Mnemonics, a picture retains 1,000 words. Book reference, Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Furr. Yeah, and this is it with chapter 10. The next time I'm going to go ahead with chapter 11, 12, 13, 14, and then that's it. So I'm going to finish up with it the next time, I guess. Let's actually highlight it so that I remembered shit. But yeah, I wish the best health of happiness and all success. I know I'm gonna work out. But beforehand, I'm gonna take a shit. Yeah, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I really hope that you're doing fine. And yeah, I wish the best health of happiness and also success. And I also hope that you're gonna remind yourself and you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy and basically just being a nice person, then also being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully gonna show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change, and what's bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully gonna show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, and I think that I've said it twice now. But anyway, twice is better than once, I guess. Unless it just, is about drugs and shit. But anyway. One other question that I'm having for you is, what could you essentially say to another person that is indeed gonna change their life? Because I deeply believe from the bottom of my heart that we all can say something, that we all can communicate something that is indeed gonna change somebody's life. And yeah, that being said, hopefully gonna see you the next time. Please take care of yourself, your loved ones, and your family. And bye-bye. Thank you.